It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell. Oh, did you enjoy the balcony scene? That was quite a thing. He's doing his little Evita cosplay up there. I expected him to burst into song. Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you all through my wild days. My mad existence. Mad is right. He is roided up. He's crazy. I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance. Nope, not even 6 feet. I got the Rona, but I'm going to take my mask off and just come on up. Especially all you photographers and videographers. Get nice. Get a nice close-up here. Oh, Lord, what madness. What absolute madness is happening. But my advice today, in fact, I just now posted this on the Charles Purcell Facebook page. Don't be afraid of him. Don't let him dominate you. We're going to beat him. Mr. Thumbs Up, Mr. Orange Pumpkin Spice Pancake Makeup, which you seemed to have a little more of yesterday. Those couple of videos over the weekend, I don't think they took the orange spice along. He looked a little pale. A little more of the cover-up yesterday. You heard the one video, right? One of the videos he made. It's been an interesting journey. I learned a lot about COVID. Seriously? You've had a White House task force for like 8 months, and now you're learning about COVID? See, this is the thing. We always say this, and we know it to be true. Republicans, conservatives in general, never realize anything until it happens to them. That part of their brain is just missing that they can have any empathy for anyone else. And especially for him, a raging narcissist. Wow. Wow. I get it, he says, and I understand it. God, mercy. 210,000 people are dead. 1,465 Americans died while he was in the hospital. In those 3 days, while he was at Walter Reed in the presidential suite, getting experimental drugs, steroids, according to reports, a cocktail of drugs that no other human on the planet has had, with a full team around him 24 hours. While all that was happening, 1,465 Americans died from the COVID. But don't be afraid. Don't let it dominate you. When you think he can't go any lower, he just, every single day he goes lower and lower. Oh. Yeah. He keeps saying how great he feels. I haven't felt this great in 20 years. Yeah, it's because you're all roided up, man. He's on steroids. Do you know what those things do to you? He is just high as a kite right now. All of his smiling and his thumbs up. The man is high as a kite. Did you see the Twitter storm from yesterday morning? I don't know how many. It was like dozens. And he had about, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in a row that were all caps. He had the caps lock on, and he was just going. They all came out at the same time. Just boom, 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 boom. He's freaking stoned, this guy. But, we're just back to laughing at him, I guess. We got to be. We can't be afraid of... Nope, don't be afraid of him. Don't let him dominate you. We're going to beat him. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, man. Speaking of these drugs he's taking, so he's on remdesivir, which we've heard of. I don't have the whole list in front of me here. Let's see. The steroid, the cocktail of drugs. Anyway, several reports have come out that the remdesivir alone, let alone the experimental stuff, which isn't even available to anybody except him, but the remdesivir alone costs up to $3,000 for a, let's see, looking at Newsweek right now. Yeah, here it is. 5-day treatment course for remdesivir, which is what he's on, would cost $3,120 in the U.S. But of those nearly 1,500 Americans who died in the 3 days he was putzing around the luxury suite at Walter Reed, yeah, for those 1,500 Americans, I don't know what they were getting. If they were getting remdesivir, it cost them $3,000 each. But this guy who doesn't pay taxes, would take good care of him. Dr. James P. Phillips, attending physician at Walter Reed, tweeted this: "Every single person in the vehicle during that completely unnecessary presidential drive-by just now has to be quarantined for 14 days. They might get sick. They may die. For political theater, commanded by Trump to put their lives at risk for theater. This is insanity." So I just want to let you know it's not loudmouth commentators alone who are saying these kinds of things. That's a medical doctor, James P. Phillips. Dr. James P. Phillips, attending physician at Walter Reed. We mentioned yesterday how misinformation is just exploding. It's already bad enough. It's been bad for a while, but oh my goodness, we're just reaching whole new levels of misinformation now. So could I ask you once again to please not be a part of it? I'm getting so much in my feed without sources. Man, give me a link, please. You're not a journalist. Are you a journalist? Ask yourself that question. Am I a journalist? If the answer is no, then don't give me news on social media without a link. You're not a reporter. I got to scold you guys. Come on. It was all over my feed yesterday. Here, let me check it right now, just to be sure. It was all over my feed that Stephen Miller tested positive. But I kept looking for verification. I kept searching Stephen Miller. Nope. He did not test positive as far as the news media is concerned. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is reporting that. And yet I saw it in my feed about a dozen times. So will you guys cut it out? Will you stop reporting news unless you're a journalist? If you're a civilian, give me a link. Please. So much of it. The other one that I got from a lot of folks without a link, without verification, was the story about the photographs taken at Walter Reed of the Orange Menace supposedly working, which we all knew was a joke, right? He's signing a blank piece of paper with his Sharpie. So we knew this. We knew it was a joke. We knew it was just a little photo session. He's not actually working. But what made the story interesting was the claim that the two photographs were taken just moments apart. And they're in different locations, at a different desk. He's dressed differently. His papers and things are arranged differently. So it appears as though these are two different times of the day. Well, according to the story, they were taken just moments apart. But again, no link. So I had to search for that one, and I did find it. And it turned out to be kind of an interesting and funny story. From fstoppers.com. F as in Frank, fstoppers.com. It's a site for photographers. So it's this very interesting, comprehensive, cool, nerdy article about the story from a photographer on F-Stoppers. And apparently there's this thing, I didn't know about this, called EXIF data. EXIF. Not sure what it stands for. But basically, it's the metadata that accompanies every digital photo. And if you're smart like Patrick Hall is, he's the author of this article on f-stoppers, you know how to find that. And it gives you information about what kind of camera the person is using, what the f-stop is, what other settings, things like that. So it's metadata about the photograph, and that includes a timestamp. So the two photographs that were released were time-stamped less than 10 minutes apart. So it really was literally just a photo shoot. I'm looking at the photos right now. He's got his jacket on, the suit coat, the jacket on in one of them and off in another. There are two different tables or desks with different backgrounds. He's got the exact same paperwork. He's got like a binder and some file folders and some blank sheets of paper. So he's got the exact same stuff with him on his desk in both shots, but they're just arranged differently. And now with the metadata, now it's proven that less than 10 minutes apart these photos are taken. So it's literally a photo shoot. It's all they know. It's all they know is propaganda and lying. And then, of course, they shoot out a tweet. Oh, he's hard at work. Look how hard at work he is. Well, again, all of us knew it was a joke, but it's nice to have the proof. And if you want to look at this, maybe I'll share this on the Facebook page too. This article from f-stoppers. It goes on and on. I love nerdy people who are really into what they do. And this guy is deep into photography. And most of this is going right over my head. But it's really interesting. So, yeah, I really love nerdy people. I love people who are into something. Really into their vocation or hobby or job or, passionate people. Passionate people. Yeah, the Orange Menace is passionate about his steroids now. If you've been paying attention the last 24, 48 hours, he is so stoned. He's so happy. Oh, my God. Now I know why they kept saying he was in such high spirits. When he was, through the weekend, the doctor, Mark Meadows, as chief of staff, anybody, one of his campaign advisors, Jason Miller, I think his name is, everybody who talked with him would come back and tell the reporters, oh, he's in such high spirits. He's in such high. And they go, what? He's never in high spirits. He's a crank. He's angry all the time. When has he ever been in high spirits? So now I know what they were talking about. Yeah, he's in high spirits because he's stoned out of his head. All right. Well, you know what? Let's bottom line this thing. It's only, depending on when he got it, and they won't tell us. They're lying to us about that, too. They won't tell us when his last negative test was. So it could have been as early as last Tuesday, Wednesday. We don't know for sure. So let's do some count here. This could be day 5. It could be day 6. It could be day 7. We don't really know. Given the history of this virus, he could still just drop dead. Somebody, I don't have it in front of me right now, somebody put out a timeline of Herman Cain's experience. And he died about a month after he tested positive, I think, or something like that. And in the interim, he had some really good days. They had a little timeline about how, okay, after X amount of days, he said he was feeling really good. And then he wasn't, and then he was, and then he was feeling fine. And then 3 days later, he's dead. So we don't know what's going on with the Orange Menace right now. I think he has it. I think we can drop the he's faking. I'm pretty sure he's got it. Based on, I don't know. We can't know anything for sure. But bottom line, we're still in the early stages. Anything can happen at this point. We don't really know. So go ahead. Feel free to make fun of him and mock him all you want. And If you want to send thoughts and prayers, if your particular religious beliefs or your moral code dictates that you wish him well, who am I to stop you? I ain't doing it. I like to think I have a moral code. I can't find the line item on this one. Hey, did you see Saturday Night Live over the weekend? It was greatly anticipated. It was the highest rated premiere in 4 years, according to Deadline.com, I'm looking at right now. SNL returned to the studio to open its 46th season with host Chris Rock and Megan Thee Stallion. Season premiere, which introduced Jim Carrey as Joe Biden and featured Maya Rudolph as Kamala Harris, and of course Alec Baldwin returning as Donald Trump, drew, 7.765 million total viewers and a 1.68 rating among adults 18 to 49. I'm not sure what all that means exactly. I should. I studied broadcasting. I used to know what this meant. I've forgotten. Anyway, much anticipated. I think Jim Carrey had a lot to do with that. There's a big, of course, with the political news and with the virus and all of that, you can see why people would be curious about that cold open, especially. But a lot of press given to Jim Carrey playing Joe Biden. And the cold open, of course, they went for it. They recreated the debate with Jim Carrey as Joe Biden. And I'll just give you my take on this. Well, first of all, the cold open was really uneven. I guess it was pretty well written, but I think they were having some technical problems or something because the timing was terrible. I mean, comedy is all about timing, and the timing was just, that scored like a 1 out of 10. The timing was bad. I think they had some cue card problems, or I don't know what was going on. But there were definitely problems. So that kind of made it bad for me. But really, the weird thing is, if you missed it, Jim Carrey is like this mad genius. I don't know if you read anything about when he played Andy Kaufman. Did you see that movie? It was pretty good. Jim Carrey plays Andy Kaufman in a movie called Man on the Moon. That was a few years ago. And there were stories about Jim Carrey getting so into character and channeling Andy Kaufman in such a way that other people were genuinely worried about him. He went a little mad, as people were worried about Andy Kaufman when he was doing similar things in his day. So Jim Carrey as Joe Biden, for me, was so deep and so disturbing that I found it difficult to watch. Honestly. It's not that it was bad. It was too good. It was too deep. It was too psychological. Jim Carrey had an existential experience on live national television. And I found it genuinely disturbing. I was kind of freaked out by it, if you want to know the truth. It was hard to watch. So we're going to see him again. We're going to see him probably every week for a while. So check out SNL. Man, Jim Carrey. While we're at it, I'm sorry, is it just me? Why is Chris Rock so popular? I don't think Chris Rock is the slightest bit funny or talented. I never have. I've never liked him. He had that one really good HBO special back in the day. What was that one called? I don't remember, but it was back like in the 90s. He had one kind of standout special. But other than that, I've seen a few of his movies. I've seen him host SNL. I've seen some other stand-up of his. I've seen him interviewed on other shows. Apparently, he's getting great reviews for his role in Fargo currently. But my experience with contemporary television is everyone has lost their mind. Audiences and critics are going gaga over series. And I'll admit, my experience is limited. My sample size is small because I don't pay for TV. I'm not going to have it. But when I have had the occasion to come across some of these shows that everybody is flipping over, I look at them and I kind of cock my head and I wonder, what happened to discernment? What happened to standards? There's nothing special about this. As a matter of fact, I find quite a lot of contemporary narrative television, scripted television, way too self-involved, earnest, self-congratulatory, self-aware, and just kind of over the top, stylized, and I don't really quite get what people are loving about contemporary television. All right, there's my tangent for the day. There's my media criticism tangent for the day. I don't like Chris Rock. I don't think he's funny. He's undeniably, unquestionably terrible in sketches. Cannot do a sketch to save his life. Can't do a character to save his life. He's only got one character. Can't even change up his voice a little bit. Can't do any kind of an accent. Can't do any kind of a character except what he is, what God gave him. Reads every line off the cue cards. Never looks at his fellow actors because he's reading off of the cue card. And even though he's reading, he stumbles on almost every line. He's terrible. Why is Chris Rock a star? His opening monologue sucked. His opening monologue was terrible. Didn't have one funny thing to say, and he bumbled through it. Now, I don't know. Maybe he's a nice guy. I don't really know if he's a nice guy or not. I don't know anything about him. If I sound annoyed, which I know I do, I'm not annoyed at him. Go ahead. Do what you do. Collect your paycheck. Do your best. I'm sure he's doing his best. I don't know. I'm not annoyed at him. I'm annoyed at the fact that he's so beloved. I don't know. I don't understand the world I live in sometimes. And on top of all that, he's not even smart. He tried to do political commentary in his monologue, and it was all just terribly simplistic. Nothing at all witty or sophisticated or insightful about any of it. Just these tired old... He's did a joke about, if Election Day is so important, why is it on a Tuesday in November? Are you kidding me? That's like Alan King on the Ed Sullivan Show. That's the level of joke that is. If Election Day is so important, well, how come it's on a Tuesday in November? That's embarrassing. Again, I'm not annoyed at him. I'm not annoyed at you. I'm annoyed at the fact of it all. Megan Thee Stallion, though, getting it done. Just laying Daniel Cameron out. Daniel Cameron, of course, the Kentucky Attorney General. And Megan Thee Stallion did a powerful presentation about respecting black women and called out Daniel Cameron. Did you see in the news, all the distractions like butterflies, they fly around my head. I forgot how that goes. That's an old Paul McCartney song. Distractions. Kind of a pretty little tune. The kind of song he writes best. Anyway, Daniel Cameron, it was revealed, didn't even give them the option, did not introduce evidence, did not even give the grand jury the option to convict the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. It wasn't even part of the process. Jurors have come out and publicly said now, nope, that was never part of the case. It wasn't even an option for us. They didn't give it to us. So Daniel Cameron has a lot to answer for. Oh, I discovered an Edgar Allan Poe short story that I did not know. Did you see this over the weekend? A lot of people were talking about Mask of the Red Death because it parallels rather eerily the story of the Amy Coney Barrett super spreader event in the Rose Garden in the White House. So somebody in social media pointed out, here's one of them, a wealthy ruler who throws a big party in his huge mansion during an epidemic for his asymptomatic friends, while the peasants die, and then the virus shows up and tears through his fancy guests, is beat for beat the plot of Edgar Allan Poe's Masque of the Red Death. Of course, referring to the announcement party in the Rose Garden as the parallel. And everybody picked up on it, and everybody shared it, and everybody seemed to pretend that they had read this. You know, when you pretend you read something because everybody else around you seems to have read it and you don't want to appear uneducated. Well, I'll admit, I loved Edgar Allan Poe as a kid. When I first learned about Edgar Allan Poe in high school or middle school, whenever I did. But I didn't know about Masque of the Red Death, so I looked it up and I read it, and it's really quite wonderful. And yeah, there's quite an eerie parallel here going on. So that was kind of nice. I discovered an Edgar Allan Poe piece that I hadn't read before. And finally, in some random news, just to leave us with a smile. Dateline London. A British zoo has had to separate 5 foul-mouthed parrots who keepers say were encouraging each other to swear. Billy, Eric, Tyson, Jade, and Elsie joined Lincolnshire Wildlife Centre's colony of zoo gray parrots in August and soon revealed a penchant for blue language. We're quite used to parrots swearing, but we've never had 5 at the same time, said the zoo's chief executive, Steve Nichols. Most parrots clam up outside, but for some reason these 5 relish it. Nichols said no visitors had complained about the parrots, and most found the situation funny. When a parrot tells you to f*** off, it amuses people very highly, he said Tuesday. Nichols said the parrots have been separated to save children's ears. They were moved to different areas of the park so they don't set each other off, he said. Swearing parrots. Ah, off. So who's teaching these parrots? I guess the zookeepers, the parrot tenders at this London zoo are teaching parrots to. So there you go. Let's leave it there. Let's leave you with a smile. A smile and a reminder, and a reminder. Don't be afraid of him. Don't let him dominate you. We're gonna beat him. This is The Log. Listen to this episode on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your podcasts. Thanks to our flagship terrestrial station, River West Radio, riverwestradio.com. Follow and contact me on Facebook and Twitter. Theme music composed and performed by Peter Donalds. From the New Arts and Media Studios in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I'm Charles Purcell.